Hi, this is FIDE Master Viktor Neustroyev. Every chess player enjoys the game where he attacks. It's even more enjoyable if the attack started with a beautiful combination or includes it. How do club players find such combinations? If we speak about masters, they definitely know what to look for in a concrete position. If you are a club player and sometimes struggle with finding tactical strikes in the game, I will teach you a certain pattern that you will be able to recognize during your own games. The tactical pattern I'm going to demonstrate in this video is called Greek gift sacrifice. After both players castle short, their kings are covered with the pawns. While f7 and f2 pawns are protected with the rooks, the only other way to deliver a checkmate is to attack the king on h2 and h7. Okay, this is FIDE Master Viktor Neustroyev and Greek gift sacrifice pattern recognition. Greek gift sacrifice is a bishop h7 sacrifice in order to attract the king and attack it with your knight and queen to threaten a checkmate on h7. This sacrifice should be analyzed when you see that the h7 pawn is only defended with the king. There is no knight on f6 and the knight cannot get to f6, neither to f8 nor to f6, and the bishop can't get to f5 to protect the h7 square. If all these moves are unavailable for black, this is where you should consider a Greek gift sacrifice. For example, in this position it works. Black just castled and now we can play bishop takes h7, the king takes. If the king doesn't take, the attack is quite strong and we play with extra pawn, but if they take, knight g5. Moving the king back to g8 leads to queen h5. Now white is threatening with a checkmate on h7. And there is nothing they can do to stop it. They can only offer some room for the king to escape, but it doesn't work. The king is checkmated anyway. Queen h8 here, and after f7 pawn is removed, queen g7 is a checkmate. So retreating with the king to g8 is usually a mistake. That's why chess players try to move it forward. This is a blunder if the bishop on c1 is alive because of knight f7, for example, and you gain the queen. King g6 is a better move, and this is where you should consider these three moves: queen d3, queen g4, and h4. Queen d3 is a check, queen g4 in order to create a discovered attack with your knight, and h4 to threaten with h5, which is most likely to lead to a checkmate. In this position, h4 is the best move. You threaten with this, and if the king goes to h6, it's knight f7, capturing the queen. For example, f5, h5, king h6, and then knight e6, so you take the queen. h4 is actually quite strong when the rook is located behind, so there is no defense against h5. Something like that doesn't work. Okay, that was a simple example. Now let's get deeper into details and analyze complicated positions. For example, look at this position. The bishop from For example, look at this position. The knight from f6 is removed. The bishop cannot join the defense. It's totally blocked. This is the line of French defense, and in French defense, Greek gift sacrifice on the h7 works quite often. So bishop takes h7, king takes knight g5. Now if king goes back, it's the same checkmate like it was in the position I demonstrated before. So rook e8, queen f7, and so on. Finally you checkmate on g7. That's why the king should travel. Well, this is not a move because of knight f7 and you capture the queen. King g6 is the most likely continuation. This is what most chess players play in order to keep an extra piece and avoid a mating attack. So let's now consider these three moves: queen d3, queen g4, and h4 with our pawn. First of all, let's start with queen d3. It's a check. Moving the king away means queen h7 and then queen h3 with a checkmate. So f5 is the only way to play. Here, if you decide to take en passant, then king takes, and with knight h7 you can only gain the exchange. Keeping in mind that you already sacrificed your bishop, it's not enough to compensate. That's why the best move here is queen g3, with the idea of playing a discovered attack and capture the queen, and also to take on g7 maybe. So they cannot move the king. Every time they move it to the h-file, you play queen h3, queen h7 mate. So let's say queen e7, they move the queen away. Knight e6. Now the king may escape, but even if it escapes, let's say to h7, you can continue with knight c7, attacking the rook, and then you see the queen can be trapped if only you continue with bishop g5. And if queen gets to the only safe square, which is f7, you play e6 and gain a minor piece back. So in this line you get some small material advantage. Let's now analyze a different line with queen g4 now. Now you're threatening with a knight e6. So what's to be played? The best move is again f5. En passant still doesn't work, and queen g3 leads to the same position. So queen d3 and queen g4 are pretty much the same. Now let's consider h4 move, which in this position looks better. Well, you're threatening with h5, and there is not much they can do to stop it. The only logical move is this. However, queen d3 now, and the rook got distracted to the h-file. It's very important. Now, for example, if the king goes to h5 or h6, well, if king h6, it's knight f7, of course. If king h5, then you can checkmate it with g4. For example, he takes there, and queen h3 is a mate. If they take here, then you checkmate in two moves. First this, king takes, and then queen h3. That's why this is where they have to play f5. And now you may capture en passant. Why? Because after king takes, queen f3, and you can enter the enemy camp with queen f7 because the rook was removed. So doesn't matter, king g6 or king e7, you still enter his camp. And for example, in this variation, you can continue with knight e6 and gain the queen. So if the king goes to e7, queen f7 check, king d6, the king wants to escape, but we may stop it with bishop f4, e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5, and this is where you can actually stop calculating the line, because with rook e1 you are able to take the advantage of the pin and gain a minor piece back. So you equalize the material back, but you still maintain a strong attack on the enemy king. Or you can continue your analysis and find such move like knight e4, which provokes them to take, after which you deliver a check to threaten to take the queen on behind. The only move is knight d4, but after knight d4 you take it and pressure the other knight on e5, so you are able to gain the material back, continue the attack, be several pawns up, or capture the queen for your rook. So this is how you can win with the h4 move. However, always remember, when you consider bishop h7 sacrifice, always think if the king escapes to g6 and consider all these three options. Sometimes instead of queen d3 you can play queen to c2. However, queen d3 is usually better because the queen can easily get to the king side and attack the king in a different way. In this video, you learned Greek gift sacrifice, a tactical pattern with the bishop sacrifice that will help you to initiate a mating attack on the enemy king. After watching this video, I'm sure you are able to recognize whether the sacrifice on h7 or h2 deserves attention or doesn't make sense. And if it deserves the analysis, now you know which moves to look for to checkmate or gain the material. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share it with your friends chess players so they can learn when to sacrifice the bishop on h2 or h7 and when they should look for different way of how to continue the attack. If you have already applied Greek gift sacrifice in your own games, please share these games into the comment section below this video. When a sacrifice in order to expose the enemy king works, it's great. But how to attack when there are no tactics in the position? Or maybe instead of the attack, you should focus on another plan. If you would like to learn whether attacking plan is good and how to continue the attack in the exact case, watch the video How and When to Attack in Chess on the screen next, and I will see you there in a moment.